There we go.
So, even without the recording, uh, other questions or thoughts or results from our discussion last week?
And I'd just like to say one more thing with Shelley. She inspired us with her enthusiasm to look into a Alaska cruise on a small ship. And that was really a transforming experience. Every trip you take expands your you, and but her enthusiasm for that got us to take one of the best vacation experiences we had for a few weeks. So.
Yeah.
I'm glad Joanne is here with me, because the ride up, Shelley and I would drive together to class.
Yeah.
I would meet her at her house and pick her up, and it's weird doing it by myself.
Yeah.
So now we meet up and come together.
Yes. Though she was better at finding the wildlife.
I'm sure she was. Or all the different plants. Yeah, of course. No, one of my memories of her is her bringing me to Ledyard High to give me plants at the end of school, because I was looking for more geraniums, and so I got the tour, and I may still have some of those geraniums because I keep them, and I kind of added to it over the years, and some have died off. But yeah, it was really, it's always nice to see somebody outside of the regular, because we were not in classes that often together, workshops, regular classes.
She helped us out coming with her chainsaw a couple of times, and that was kind of amazing to see this person that you only experience in another way in her her attire and her focus, and she was very good at that.
That was her favorite tool.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Okay.
But
So a versatile tool.
Yeah, and she's very good at using it.
She taught people how to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a couple of weeks ago, she identified a tree in my backyard for me. Took a picture of it. My sister thinks that's a sycamore. Is that a sycamore? She and Craig both agreed it was a sycamore.
Yeah, she was always available to answer the, what is this question? Yeah. Yes, we've all benefited by her friendship.
Yes. Auntie Jean stories.
What?
Her Auntie Jean stories.
Oh.
Crazy aunt.
Yeah. She was a particularly good example of really using Tai Chi, because she made the amazing effort to do something every day before she went to work, and she went to work early. And it showed. So just She was a real example for getting the benefits of Tai Chi. At least that's what she said.
She would know best.
I'm sorry?
She would know best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. Gods playing in the clouds.
I found doing 3 without arms much harder. That especially at the top, that somehow the arms help me condense the, or not, well, you know,
Yeah.
I understand that, because that's it almost feels like you're doing the wrong thing because you're rising into that position. But I found a real key to doing 3 is really finding the circularity of the dantian.
Yes. Yeah.
Because if you allow yourself to get flat at any point, it's gone. And in order to keep it connected and continuously moving, you have to keep that circle going, and it's part of it's part of really becoming aware of how circularity and sphericalness is so important to keeping the energy moving.
And you do notice it more when you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's why Master Joe so often said, "Round your corners." Find how to round them.
I think also that even though it's frustrating sometimes to not use our arms, I feel like, I also notice more things. Like in 3, sometimes I just have to be reminded where my feet are, when I am putting more pressure on my left heel and my front toe or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just like super leaning at the same time, not just rounding without moving in that direction. So it does point out other things that you don't notice.
Yeah. Oh. You got it.
No, well.
It does. And it helps us take away that too great emphasis on our hands and arms.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's like on our hands and our arms. It's like,
well, they're right there, so you can see
it's
them.
not supposed to be on our hands.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Go ahead.
Oh, just that even just having the arms down here, I was aware of the energy going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through them.
Absolutely.
Right.
And there was a twisting going on, or a rotation or something.
I think it's also certainly in 3, but in all of the all of the movements, being really aware of the C curve. That's an essential part of every movement, and it helps to define in 3 what you're trying to do at each point along the way. So keeping that present is really important. Bill, you have any thoughts in there?
In addition to those things, I think I became more aware without the hands of like the shoulder blades and opening up and closing, the whole thoracic cavity here.
Yeah. Good.
I found myself at one point going back over some of the notes, and a couple of times actually going back and finding a few clips from the from past recordings, but particularly on 7th, because we're still working on that one.
Yep.
But just kind of really making the time to just kind of go back and remember, or
Yeah.
remind myself of things that haven't quite gotten in, haven't settled in there enough. Oh, the cat's found the bug. That bug has been here since we came in.
Oh
Just,
boy.
it's very tiny, very, very tiny. It's now the cat's figured, yeah.
It may be a snack.
That may be the end of the bug.
So
Anyway. But that's been good, because I've been wanting to go back and remind myself of some of those things anyway.
Yeah.
So it was a good opportunity.
So let's do that practice again. Just doing 10 reps without arms. Let me look again at what you're doing.
I'm having too much fun watching the cat to see if it got the bug.
I think it went behind the door.
I think it did. That bug is a little self-preservation. Okay. ready for closing, I immediately moved my arms without thinking. Like, oh yeah, oh no, oops.
That's all right. My apologies if the cats were distracting.
No, I have cats, so they just, yeah.
They want to be part of what's going
Of
on.
course, yeah.
I was a little distracted when you tried to climb up my leg.
Yeah, right.
But I miss having cats, so I was thinking, maybe we should get a couple of cats.
Oh. So what did you discover or notice in doing that? What was good? What was bad?
One thing was good. I was going from getting the breathing right, transitioning from 4 to 5 to 6.
Good.
And yeah, that helped to focus on that breathing transition, which I find tricky still, but definitely not like riding a bicycle yet.
Good. Well, and
I found in 7 really much more of a strong feeling of my dantian, of moving from my dantian, where I think when I'm moving my arms and I get so worried about my crane neck that I'm only paying attention to kind of shoulders up.
Yep.
With 7, it's just because it has been a challenge. So I think in this way, particularly more now than I had. I also think once it was over, I could just realize how different my body felt than when I'd begun. Like just the energy flow in my body.
Right. Good.
Was quite nice.
Carol?
Well, my count in 7, I realized I was up to 8, and I thought, oh, well, I guess I'm doing more 7s than I did everything else.
It's all right.
Yes, I figured that needs it.
Yeah.
The transition from 2 to 3 I did differently than I normally do when the arms are involved, but it worked.
That's all right. That can be done.
It has options, right? Yeah.
And it was nice that the energy flow on 5 didn't need the hands to get all the way up. So,
Oh, good. Yeah.
And the transition from 5 to 6 was a little smoother. I've been practicing that a little bit. Because
Yeah.
how to
Circularize it.
It's a good word. It doesn't exist, but it's okay.
It's okay.
I'll just say one thing that was really apparent in Carol's movement was the opening and closing of your joints. It was really interesting to see that, because you weren't doing anything with your arms and hands, but everything was moving. And it was opening and closing. I think it wasn't anything else. It was just the energy moving through your body. It's a very good thing. Anything for you, Mr. Nagel?
I was trying to concentrate on 2 things in particular. One was doing it without a single pause. I think I succeeded, and that actually I found helping me with circularity. I'm not sure exactly how that happens, but it felt um, good doing that. And the other thing I wanted to work on was an even tempo throughout, especially rising up and sinking down, which um, I think we can hurry in either direction if we're not paying attention. So wanted to do those two things.
Good. So, go ahead. Oh, but it's not. One of the things, a couple of things that I noticed, just to be aware of. One is really working in 3 on finding that circle of the Dantian, because there was some tendency with some of you to go back and forth, or indeed to flatten out parts of the circle, or to allow pauses to develop in the circle. So 3 is not easy. It is difficult. But really finding the opening and closing in that, because there is a real as you're going around, even without the arms, there is a real opening through the whole body, but you have to round that corner to go on into the next one and out. And then being able, one of the things is, if you really open and you straighten the spine at 3 and 9, then you have some place to bend from as you're going through 12. So that can kind of be a help there, I think, if you make sure that you're not letting yourself get stuck there, and then it becomes kind of straight across. 3 is a challenge. I'm not belittling that at all. Also, the other thing I might say is in 7, there's no sinking and rising in the legs. That movement is entirely actually rotating at the midriff. So there's no shifting of the weight or going up and down. So that would be a good one to be aware of in 7. And remember that in your C curve, you don't want to overdo the crane's neck, but it does need to be present. Because I saw both things happen. Sometimes the C curve had a bend of the neck, which cuts off the energy, or it had too much, not balancing between what the lumbar area can do and what the neck is capable of doing, the cervical area. More than enough to think about. So I think this week continuing to do some practice without the arms, but also, if you can, do some without the arms and then do it with the arms, and see if you can take what you're doing in no arms into with arms, if those words make sense to you.
Yes, yes.
Because eventually we do want to have the arms present in this, but we want to really develop that awareness of the body and the legs being more important than the arms. So any questions about that? Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
when we do that, do the 10 reps without the arms and then do the 10 reps with the arms. Not do 10 without the arms and then put the arm in for 10.
No.
Just do the flow without and then the flow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it could be a little less if you don't have time. Do 6 or 8 of without arms, but do the same amount with the arms. Yeah. So it's important that I tell you there's no class next week because I have another doctor's appointment. I have too many doctor's appointments, but I can't help it. This is one which I really can't do at any other time. So no class next week, which means actually I won't see you again until January 8th.
Till next year.
Wow.
Well,
Right.
New Year's happens to fall on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And Christmas is wow.
Well, they always are.
Yeah, well, they are. Yeah, no, they always are in the same day. Yes, but it's
Yeah.
just that like, oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just kind of thinking, wow, in terms of the
Yeah.
length of time.
So you'll have lots of time to practice, even though it's a holiday season.
Yeah.
And I hope indeed you have a really pleasant holiday,
Right.
whichever one you celebrate.
Well, thank you, David, and thanks for the 8 gates and
Yeah, that was good.
giving us a chance to, pause with Shelley. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
Good. Speaking of the 8 gates, I mean, I haven't particularly emphasized this before, but I might just say if you want to do the 8 gates, just as part of your practice, which is really good, it's very valuable to do both the gathering of just holding that position and the pulsing. And the ideal is to do 4 holding and 4 pulsing. And because the holding gathers more effectively than the pulsing. The pulsing moves it through the body more effectively. And it's a really good practice to do. I highly recommend it. And so any other last minute thoughts or questions or comments or?
with the 8 gates, I have 2 ancient handouts, and they have 2 different orders. I always wonder if there's been a 3rd or 4th or 5th update.
You're not just trying to figure out between 1 and 2. You just want to. How many more can there be?
So the order that we did today is really the final order, because it's the order that the postures develop in the 8 gate form. That's the preferred order, really, in the at the end of the line.
Okay. Shucks, you didn't record that. I had it on recording.
I'll send you the list.
Okay. Oh, I'd appreciate that.
You have many of them, probably.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best to all of you until we see again.
Yes, until
Yes.
next year.
Indeed. Indeed. We'll be so practiced, it'll be disgusting.
I can hardly wait. Thank you. Best to your partners, and Bill Daigle, good luck to your wife in her surgery.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Yep.
I don't.
That's all. Yeah.
Bill Nagel, did you know Shelley? And are you interested in her?
Oh, no, I did not. Yeah.
Okay.
But I was happy to participate this morning. And I had various other people to send energy out to also. So
Yeah.
always a good thing.
Yep.
Good.
Bye now. Happy woo.
Okay.
Bye.
I do have one other question that came to mind. Which just gets back to the question of the C curve. I think I felt like a long time ago I had a really good handle on the 2 and 5 and 6, and now without the arms I'm questioning myself as to how. I mean, I understand because I understand the arms.
But the C curve is talking about the spine.
Yeah, I understand that. But I somehow had it in my mind that 5 was a bit more different. Okay, 5 and 6. I don't know. So the C curve is the same throughout. Okay.
Well,
yes and no.
Yes and no. And that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because the basic movement of bending from the center of the spine and straightening from the center of the spine doesn't change.
Right.
But the size of the movement changes because of your condensing as you go into 5.
Yeah. Okay.
So the movement in 5 and 6 is even smaller than it is in 2, 3, and 4. And smaller in the sense of more powerful. You're packing more into it, if you will. And that's I realized that not only understanding intellectually, but feeling condensing is something that's, I think, particularly difficult. Because the first reaction certainly that I had was that I had lost something. But what we really want to feel is that we have condensed that power so that there is more power contained within a smaller movement. So I think that's important to really open to being aware of it in that way. Not just smaller, but smaller and more powerful. Other questions? I don't know.
I mean, I feel your answer. So I guess that's a good thing. Not trying to intellectualize it as much as feeling it. Yes.
Well, and that's the basic issue with a lot of what we're doing is we have to get past thinking about it.
Yep.
Because thinking about it at this stage does us no good whatsoever.
Right. Right.
It has no value.
No. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
but it's awful hard to let go of.
Yep.
We love our brains.
Oh.
And they're useful.
They're useful.
I'm not
You don't wanna
suggesting
forget
you should
things,
not
but
be
yeah,
able
right.
to think.
But it's not all muscle memory.
So it's awareness and intent.
Mhm.
When you pointed out my opening and closing, I was like, oh, I wasn't thinking about that at all.
No, you
So-
weren't.
So it was
Right,
No.
really nice.
No,
Yeah.
I could tell that you were
Yeah,
not,
it
that was not
I
something
wasn't
you were.
focusing on that at all. It's just
No.
that's what needed to be done. Or
Right.
it was-
And that's
But that's
a
That's what I
very
love. When
it's there,
appropriate
exactly.
thing to be happening. Because ideally it is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Wu Yu Xiang, second paragraph. In practicing this week, any particular things come up in that first section we worked on?
I tried doing it once without the arms
Mm.
and didn't get very far.
Yeah.
Where am I? Okay, this isn't working at all.
I think it's very hard to do the flow without
I've done
the
the
arms.
I've done the flow
I
without the
really
arms,
haven't.
starting from the
Yeah.
beginning, but starting in the middle. Which
Oh,
middle is
that's
this?
interesting.
It's just
Well, what can I tell you?
Yeah.
no, it's
That's
just,
a-
it's an observation of the moment.
Yeah, right. And certainly that's true. You have to practice it in order for it to become something that you can do without effort. Because if you don't, then you end up having to think about where you're going all the time.
Right.
Right.
So, but I understand, believe me, having worked on working without arms or going to the other side, which of course is another step, can be, you think, oh, well, I'll do the same thing in mirror image. Well, how difficult is that?
I remember doing that with a 48. Once we got to 108, I don't remember even trying.
I've done it with the yang. I've worked on some with the wu. I haven't really gotten that yet. That's something. I've been working on so many other elements in the wu style that I haven't really focused on doing the other side. Anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, this week, I probably did fewer postures because I was focusing more on what we did last time and kind of trying to undo any rocking that I might have been doing. Because that was something we really kind of, were focusing, oh God, and as soon as you focus on don't do something, you start doing it more to some degree. So it's like, oh, I'm doing it. And I think there's rounding. So I just kept kind of trying to, be looking at that. And then I did, there were a few days where it was just, my arms hurt too much to actually be. I mean, it's just because I'd had the shots.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that
Yeah.
just hurt. That just hurt. Even touching it, which is unusual. I don't usually have much of a reaction, but I did more this time. So I did not, I mean, I had been trying to really get through that whole second paragraph kind of over and over,
Yeah.
and I didn't even try to do that this week. But I think that it is a matter of, when I feel I'm rounding, you're not always feeling I'm rounding. So I need to listen to that because there may be jagged edges here where I'm not
It's
aware of enough,
Yeah,
or whatever. It is too easy to kind of jut around, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like 3 could be, one. Right.
It's you still find, I mean, you will continue to find that for whatever reason, all of a sudden you aren't rounding a corner.
Right.
It just I can have a day when I feel like I get all of the corners rounded, and then the next day.
Well, and I think they're more challenging where, and I think that's why I mentioned 3, right? Where you are trying to move out, but you don't want to just be
Yeah.
moving out. But you are going out and then coming back in, and so rounding that. And there are many times in the flow that happens.
Yeah.
And so I think just kind of.
And the float, there are so many really subtle rounds.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're very subtle.
Right.
Very subtle.
G particularly.
Yeah.
Is,
Yeah.
a difficult one. But also, being aware, we've got a couple of places where we have multiple energies very fast.
Yes.
And the white goose, of course, is the first one that we had come to. And the tendency so often there is just to get up here and go
boom boom. Yeah. And then
yeah. and what good is that?
Right.
So trying to be aware there of going up and releasing into those.
Right, because the difference in just watching your body and doing that, the difference in coming from your back as opposed to.
Yeah.
But it's also moving out of it that I think is the other piece of it.
And they are small and subtle. Everybody goes through a stage of, I've got to do 3 things here.
Right.
But they don't have to be. They can be really small. They can be really small. And you have to find where that works for you.
Right.
Because everybody's different. So anyway, that's one that's. But it's a really good. I think when you get that, it's a really good aha.
Right.
I don't have to do that.
Right, but then continuing to practice it in the aha way.
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe the way that you had been doing it more, or had slipped back into doing it, the wrong way. I think it's.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't you get up and flow through that section just to see where we are. And okay.
So from the last, somehow in the middle of the week, I found myself starting paragraph 2, moving through, and then ending paragraph 1. I was like, what did I just do?
So
it's like, yeah.
So where's the front?
So
okay, well, maybe
is a side.
Okay, how about that be the front?
Okay, yep.
And then we're starting at the
so
side
start
again.
here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that is good.
But yeah, if we're doing it the same way, some things work well in circles and some things don't.
Yeah.
In terms of at least how we're facing each other.
Yeah, if we've had practice doing the form in all the different directions.
Yeah.
People doing it in different
I
directions.
used to hate that with the mirrors. First of all, I hated the mirrors, but then with
It got to the point where I could ignore the mirrors.
I could ignore the mirrors, but then turning around and kind of going, oh my God, what is the new corner?
See, and that's
What is the new right front corner?
That's where you have to let go of orienting
Yes.
to the outside world, but orienting inside your body.
Practicing in different spaces helps that.
Yep.
I've been practicing turning in the space I do, just turning around and doing
Yeah.
the opposite
Oh, well, that's
direction
good.
lately.
That's good.
For the
Yeah.
last few weeks now,
Yeah.
and I think that's made some.
Yeah, though there have been moments when, wait a minute, how, I thought I started facing that way. How can I be?
It is, it's easy to get off.
It's more in the 3rd paragraph that comes up.
In the summer, I try to just go outside and do it in different places, but
Yes.
that's not going to happen for a while.
Not today.
Oh,
That's
no.
for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
feel like to be wet. So anyway.
All right, what are we doing here? Oh, okay.
That's as far as I think we went last week.
I think it was further than we went last week. Yeah.
Was it? I didn't. Well, that was my memory. Sorry.
maybe we went further. I didn't in practice, but
No. Much better than last time we met and did that. Definite improvement. I would say for you, keep thinking about rounding.
Okay.
Because there is a tendency to kind of do movement like this instead of movement.
With my hands, where are you seeing that? Just so I can.
It's expressed in the arms,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Too much jutting out and jutting back in?
Yeah, and not, I didn't feel it so much in the body, but for instance, for me, a place that took me a while to really get into was single whip. So finding all of those circles, and the arms don't have to go up and down quite so much. Yes, there are places where there's a definite lower position, but even when we're going into play peepaw, you're back here and you step here, it doesn't have to be real low. It can be here because it's an opening as you go into that. So really continuing to really be aware of that, of the roundness of things, and not letting it get too much this way. Carol, what I felt with you was that just to keep working on refining the finding the in and out, the yin and yang and things, and refining those movements. I can see it's working better in some places than others, but you're definitely beginning to seems to me, beginning to be aware of it relatively clearly. Do you feel that yourself?
Sometimes more than others, yeah.
Yeah.
What am I focusing on today?
Yeah. And while it's certainly all right at this stage for the movements to be fairly large, remember that, I always, because Master Joe talked about this in relation particularly to this form, but that in the, I don't know if you remember, he discussed 3 levels of development in Tai Chi. And in the 3rd stage of development, you're moving to where it is mostly happening internally and not very much externally, which is obviously opposite of the 1st stage. So well, yes, when you begin, your arms are down here, but it may be when you get here that those movements become very condensed and quite small eventually. But you have to work to that, not try to do it, but to allow it to develop.
Right. Yeah. I understand. Yeah.
So, but I thought both of you actually did White Goose quite well. Since we talked about that, and it's difficult. So, do you have any questions up to there? Okay.
No, I think, you're right. It's just like practicing and getting it,
Yeah, yeah. So, what do you do after that?
I do have a question though, because
Oh.
I don't remember doing monkey last time, but maybe we did. I guess I just felt like, is that, I think I've struggled with that over the years at times, but
Yeah.
any pointers on that, or that seemed to be?
Did we not work on that one? Maybe we didn't.
No, we did work on that last week. I'm pretty sure we didn't.
Okay.
If we did, totally, sorry.
So, one of the things about that is that the first one is different than the others.
Right. Oh, the first one's to the back corner.
First one's the first one's to the back corner, but you're coming out of this, and you have that rotate to the right and step, and you go right into this. And follow and focus is just the same. You're both doing the step around really quite well. You want to make sure that as you're going around that you are bending and twisting in, and as you shift into the left foot, that raises the right. It begins a deflection, and it drives down with your rotation, and the left hand strikes. So the 2, 3, and 4 are really the same, but one is slightly different.
I think my intention there's a little bit, that's helpful, because I think I'm just clear, I feel like I'm like holding this ball.
No.
And I hear no.
You're pushing it off your hand.
And then I'm like, wham! Okay.
So, So
Yeah, that's okay. Right.
do you want to do that again? Is that what you're?
We could do that again. That might get it into me more.
Yeah.
Get rid of that ball, baby. Where are we here? Okay.
To drive the monkey away.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I wasn't coordinating my hand and my foot well.
That was good.
I caught that.
Yeah, no, that was good.
I mean, that's why it's good to get it in before you go home and go, what was that again?
Yeah, no. The other thing I was going to say is to be aware of the fact that you get to this point,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go forward, and you have to get that toe to touch before you start condensing and then expanding in on. So
yeah,
you don't want to get
too far out there before you're.
Yeah.
I think I am.
Yeah. And then.
I'll go back over there again.
Can you think about what happens next?
Yes.
So you're gonna go into brush knee.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, no, I got lost on that. I mean, I knew what I was trying to do, but I wasn't doing it.
So you had the right idea.
Just didn't execute it very well.
No question about that. So when you get around to here, into that brush knee, and the follow and focus is still to there.
Yep. Then.
But then you're coming here. So when you do that, you want to make sure you're bending and twisting in touch, and
I mean, it's basically play peepaw, right?
yeah. But it's.
But the other side, I know. Right. We're moving, yes, but we do that in a few other places. Yeah.
Play peepaw, and then you've got to have a rise and pull down.
Pull down. See, I'm pulling out. I'm not pulling down.
It's a rounded movement. Right in front of the body, not off to the side somewhere. It's right in front of the body, and then a step, and try to step empty. So,
yeah.
preferably.
That, yes. That
preferably. So you do this first pull down and step, and then you use that rotation to go into that next one. Boom. And then around.
And then,
This.
yeah, that's what I missed.
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, and with that one, that's one that I tended not to round the corner. I got to here, and then I'm here. So you have to find, how do I round that corner, bring the energy in and up.
And what is the position of our hands at this point as we're bringing them in?
So when you've gotten to here, boom.
Yep.
This is one place where the arms do go down fairly low. Now they're starting to come back up a little. And then they go right into G, Pung and G.
Yeah, and then.
Yeah. And what I found was that where I would start out in the first two postures in the form, really clearly doing all four of those energies, you have to do it again here. So when you get to here, you want to find, how do I do Pung and G and Lu and on, and not let yourself be rushed through there. And then, of course, you go back into another single whip, which gives you another chance to do that.
That again.
I
think when we look at those three categories, I kind of get stuck between 1 and 2, kind of like going, okay, yeah, I know what I'm doing now. Or I don't. Well, or I do, but I'm rushing it, so then I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're doing 1 and 2, they're 1 and 2. But everywhere else, they're punctuation. They're commas. They're more. It's more transitions to something else. So it's
yes and no.
No, it isn't.
They're all.
No, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah. So why don't you go back to the beginning of the second paragraph and flow up to this point.
And flow up to wherever we were. Here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, take it on and do single whip.
Okay. Single whip.
Because you know that already. Sort of.
But it needs practice. I was going to say, but it needs practice. I think that's the sort of.
last single whip was better than previously. Do you feel you understand the figure 8 pattern there?
I feel like I do, but I.
Okay.
I don't seem to be doing it right because you keep commenting on it.
I just feel like you're not sure about it.
Well, I think in that last, I forgot that we weren't stopping there, so then I was like, oh, I have to do this, you know, and that kind of, that kind of did throw me, I have to admit.
No, well, I can understand that. I think one of the things is to recognize that this is coming in, and this is going out, and this out has to be to 100%, so that you can come in and step, and then go to single whip. And so the arms, they go down a little bit as you step, so that there's a little rise into this, but it's not a big movement. Yeah. Questions? I don't know, do you want more, or is that enough?
I feel like I've got enough to work on.
That's what it felt like to me.
Unless there are other things, I'd be happy for you to point out other things for me to work on if you feel that that's necessary, but I think there are a lot. We've also been taping it, so
I think
that's why I stood aside so I could, it's like, David ended with a single whip.
Good old single whip.
Good old single whip. One of my first posters.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great.
Well, have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. We're just having a low-key kind of hanging. I was saying to Carol, I heard in the news this morning that more people are traveling this holiday than like ever before. And like half of them are going to Florida. And I'm like, oh my God. Nope.
Why?
I'm going to New London for Christmas dinner. Hopefully having the kids over, but not like, we're not. I need downtime, not travel time. I love my travel time, but not not at the end of the year. No. Not when everybody else is.
No, you want to travel when nobody else is.
Our last big trip was the trip a couple of years ago when we went to Greece. It's the only trip I've ever done where I wasn't on my way to a meeting, to be honest. Like, seriously. But Patrick and Frida really wanted to bring the kids somewhere. So we went, and we got there like a week and a half before all the tourists showed up. I saw a picture in the paper that was like wall-to-wall people at the Athenaeum. I'm like, oh my God, like we were just kind of walking around, taking pictures. There were other people there, but it wasn't like, like, hey, let's all go see some foreign thing in a crowd.
When did you go?
When? We went like the day after school got out in June. And most of the people were early July. I was already in London for War Sisters International meeting, so then we met at Heathrow and all went after. But, Patrick is in school. He needs to, the kids are in school, so there's something like June 24th or 25th. It was around then. Yeah, so it's a little earlier than a lot of people. But,
that's like, I had 2 trips to China, and I went to some same places both trips. And the first trip, there was nobody at the really very important monastery, but that's not the important thing. But there was it was empty. The next trip I went there, it was jammed with people because there was a big festival going on. And it was such a different feeling.
Different experience.
It was totally, I didn't like it full of people.
No, I mean, I've also kind of gone, I used to have meetings that like the 3rd week of February in London, which is kind of a grim, dark place. But I brought Andy one year, and we went up to the moors. Everything was closed, kind of, but it was still lovely to walk around the villages with just my friends and no tourists. No, everyone kind of really paid attention to you. There was no one at the Tower of London. It was pretty funny. But, like, you walk in and the room is set up for like hundreds of people. It's like, hey, it's just us. There's like one other couple in front of us. Just walking around. Anyway, but yeah, no.
That first trip to that monastery, which I can't remember the name of now, it's in Xi'an.
Mm-hmm.
But we went mid-afternoon. There were just 5 of us went that day to that monastery on our own. And it was so wonderful because it was empty, we just stayed. And about, just as the sun was going down and it was starting to get, so you could just barely see what was going on, a nun came out and practiced Tai Chi. And it was like mystery happening.
Wow.
And it was really fascinating. I still remember that moment. It's one of those. I had a lot of those in China, I must say. But anyway, have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Yep.
We're gonna be very quiet.
Yep, little yin time. Too much yang time these days. Much too much. All right, I'm gonna go up to the bathroom.
Another hug for you.
Another hug. For us.
Yes, for us.
Oh, hello again.
She was a wonderful lady.
She was.
And I had thought about your drive over here. I thought that would have to be hard.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
The bittersweet don't grieve that it's over, rejoice that it happened.
Yeah.
But just still be sober.
Yeah. Is Craig doing all right?
I haven't talked to him since that call the day after.
Mm-hmm.
He called me and left a message to call him, and then I called back. So I'm just thinking of give him a call when I get home today.
Yeah.
See how he's doing.
I hadn't called him yet.
His sisters were there. Or her sisters were there. And I've been picturing him getting rid of the hospital bed and all the
all the
boxes
stuff.
of gloves and clearing out all the disease and leaving just the Shelley behind.
Yeah. That it's interesting. I don't know about you, but even without being a part of that particular experience, it just made me think about experiencing it, and it's got to be really hard. Not likely that I will, it's more likely that Jane will, since I'm 16 years older than she is.
I started inquiring about getting a ramp. That John had one of his gastric things, so he doesn't eat for a few days, and then trying to get up to pee in the night and not having any strength. And maybe some with the gastric, and then maybe some with the neurological stuff. He's gained back the strength, so, but it was okay. It was the day it snowed, and The only way I'd have gotten him out of the house if we needed to was calling 911 because
Yeah.
he could not navigate our little ramps.
Yeah.
So,
Well.
and I need to decide if we want them to just demo the ramps or take them apart so they can be saved. And I'm thinking taking them apart because
Yeah.
and there may be a time when we want to put that, when it's not an issue anymore, and we can get rid of the ramp and put it back, put the steps back.
Yeah, if you can do it so that it's easy to do too.
Yeah, well, they would do it, but he said, would we want it to be a demo or take it apart?
Mm.
And I was thinking, well, where would I put it? Like, we've got room in our basement. If they can help me transport it into the basement,
Yeah.
we can just put the pieces, stack the pieces up until such time as I decide. Do you need a ramp? Do you need
a ramp? Who needs a ramp?
Do you need platforms, steps? Because my brother made so that each step is a 3x4 platform.
Oh,
So you come down one step and you move your walker, and
Ah.
come down the next step and you do.
Oh, that's
Right.
good.
So
Yeah,
that,
right.
but,
good.
but
Yeah.
we're looking at a ramp. And now I have to, okay, I haven't gotten the quote yet. And do I look at people who might make them out of wood and get other quotes, or do I go with the professionals who do this all the time?
Right, or, yeah, and there's also the metal ones I've seen.
Yeah, these are the metal ones, these are modular.
Okay, yeah.
And don't, I thought, I remember that, like the one that Shelley has,
Sort of
they,
like that, yeah.
they take away.
They can.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can rent them,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
rent goes, 75% of the rent goes into purchase. And then you reach a point when you don't need them, which I'm thinking that's one of the things Craig's doing, is taking the ramp away.
Yeah.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. That one you might want to just keep.
Who
The
knows?
bed certainly can go.
Yeah.
Rick is one of those people, it's like, if you get rid of it, you'll need
Need
it.
it.
Like, we've had crutches like our whole lives. And he's needed them a couple of times.
Oh, geez.
No, we still have the rollator that I got for John, and he never used, but Shelley used a lot for a year or so.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
she gave it back when she couldn't walk anymore.
right.
But I keep thinking, well, I'm sure there's going to be somebody.
We had
Who needs
one
one?
that belonged to Annie, who was lived in her, was in her 90s and lived with us at Voluntown, and we brought it with us, and then our next door neighbor needed it, so she had it. So yeah, it's just kind of they just they just rotate around. Right.